The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday. A wonderful Wednesday. We'll stay with the alliteration, right, Scotty? Wonderful Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. See them above our heads right there. Anthony Hartwig, Scotty Mincher, like always on a Wednesday. Scotty, how we doing today, buddy?
I'm good. Personally, like the sports fan in me not doing great right now, but otherwise I'm good. My brother's getting married this weekend. I'm the best man, so
The best man. You got a little tuxedo, man?
yeah. So it should be
That means you have to do the toast. You ready for that?
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about it a lot, preparing myself. So
Don't
try
don't
to.
hit him with the jokes too hard, all right?
Yeah, I won't lay it on too thick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, congratulations, Scotty. That's got to be exciting for you, buddy.
Yeah, it really is. It should be a lot of fun. So yeah, looking forward to it. I've never been a best man before, so
Me neither. So you'll have to hold that ring and take care of it all day. Don't lose it.
I won't lose it. Guard it with my life.
Yes, guard it with your life. And here we go into the scoreboard, Scotty. Like we do every day to start the show, we're going to recap the night that was last night. Plenty of action from volleyball and soccer. Let's start with volleyball on the scoreboard. Here are your scores. Salem, first win of the year. They sweep Alliance in the EBC. It's EBC opening day. All the teams kind of open their season in the EBC. No better way for Salem to open it than this sweep. Jefferson, they fall in a tough one. They were high in our power rankings, but this one's going to hurt. 3-0 sweep to Berkshire. The Badgers of Berkshire putting some hurt on Jefferson. This was a Jefferson team that looked really impressive over the weekend. So obviously we don't know about Berkshire because they're not a YSN team. We don't never see them live, but either Berkshire is really, really good and knocked out a really good team, or Jefferson had an off day. But either way, it's a 3-0 sweep for the Badgers. Ashtabula St. John stays hot with a sweep over Bloomfield. West Branch the same way. They opened up EBC play just like Salem did with a sweep. West Branch was hosting Minerva. They have a big one tonight against Marlington. A lot of the volleyball quote-unquote experts think that EBC will come down to West Branch and Marlington. So could be a very significant matchup tonight between those two. Beaver Local, they got the win in straight sets last night, 3-0, the final score there. Matthews, they fall to the Grand Valley. So a lot of our team, Scotty, getting some sweeps, breaking out the brooms. You gotta love it.
Yeah, breaking out the brooms. It's on one end. It's got to be exhilarating for the team sweeping. On for the team getting swept, not so much. But you gotta love that as a competitor, and I'm sure the coaches do when guys and coaching, they're just able to, assert dominance early
You
and
know,
get at it from the jump and be on the top of their game.
when we talk when we're in baseball and softball season, one of the things we talk about is ending games early when you can to save your pitcher's arms, of course. In volleyball, because there's a lot of games in a short amount of time. I mean, a lot of these teams are going to be playing 3 or 4 matches a week, not in too long. Once the season really starts getting rolling. So anytime you have the opportunity to get a sweep, get in, get out, and save yourself for the rest of the week, I think coaches love it. I think endurance matters, and you want to be as sharp as possible on your Thursday and Saturday games. So Monday and Tuesday, if you can get sweeps and you can get in and get out and get less sets played, that benefits the whole team. Speaking of sweeps, another one, Austin Town Fitch, they sweep Ursuline, straight sets there. Pymatuning Valley, big win for them. 5-set thriller over Badger. They get the dub. They've won 2 in a row now, Monday and Tuesday, in 2 days straight. The Lakers with the win. Hubbard pulls off the win in 5 sets over Campbell, a thriller one there as the Eagles win 3-2. Crestview, they still haven't lost a set in the MVAC in over a year. They win against Southeast 3-0. That is the welcome to the MVAC for Southeast. You get Crestview. Tough one, tough one to look on the welcome mat if you're Southeast. Welcome to the league. Here's the best volleyball team in the area.
Yeah. It's just straight to the sharks. It's sink or swim.
That is the definition of baptism by fire. So, oh
Yes.
my, oh my. Latonia, they get swept by East Palestine. A big win for the Bulldogs, 3-0, the final score there. And then we have Garrettsville Garfield. They ended champions' undefeated season by sweeping the Flashes 3-0. Sorry, I had to answer a text message from Chris Sigler, our communications guru. Can't lack communication with Chris. So when he texts you, you got to pause. Girard goes and sweeps Niles out of the NE8 3-0. That's a big conference win for Girard. They have one of the biggest matchups of the week tonight. They will host Crestview. That's going to be a really fun one in Girard. We'll talk about that and all the other games coming up tonight towards the end of the show. Lakeside and Cheney got moved to August 28th, which is tonight. So they just moved that one day later. So they'll play it tonight. Brookfield sweeps Liberty in straight sets 3-0. And Columbiana sweeps Wellsville 3-0 in the straight sets. So big wins for both of those teams. Brookfield, first conference win for them. And for Columbiana, that's how they open the EOAC with a sweep over Wellsville. So big wins for both of those teams going forward. LeBray, they get the sweep over Newton Falls. They are now 1-1 in the MVAC with the straight sweep. South Range bounces back from that marathon of a match they were a part of on Monday. They sweep Poland at home 3-0, the final score there. We have Beaver. They got the win over Quaker Valley in 4 sets, 3-1. We go to East Liverpool. If I can scroll, there it is. East Liverpool got the win over Edison in straight sets in a sweep 3-0. Middle Ridge sweeps Sebring 3-0. United gets a 4-set victory over Southern 3-1. One of the matchups I was really looking forward to last night was McDonald and Springfield. McDonald dropped the first set, won the next 3, and beats the Tigers in 4, 3-1. Gianna Constantinos keeps up her double-double streak. She still has a double-double in every game played for McDonald so far this year. Lakeview gets the win 3-0 over Struthers to continue their NE8 dominance. We have East getting the 3-2 loss to Warren Harding, a tough 1-5 for the Bears. And then Waterloo, they sweep Lowville 3-0, the final score for the Vikings, getting an MVAC Scarlet Tier win. Take a breath. All right, now we go boys soccer, Scotty. Boys soccer, here we go. United gets the 4-2 win over Rootstown. Big win for the Eagles. That Rootstown team is really good, really athletic. Salem, they fall to Ursuline 5-2, your final. Battle of 224 goes to Canfield 2-0. The final score, they beat Poland in one of the biggest rivalries in the area. Everyone in both communities takes that extremely seriously. We go to East Liverpool. They were able to get the win over St. Clairsville 2-1. You can find the highlights for both those games on our social media pages and our YouTube account as well. We were at both broadcasting those. Um, Hubbard and Archbishop Hoban, they were affected by weather. There was some lightning in some parts of the area last night. So they were, barely in the game. It was nothing, nothing. They got stopped because of lightning. So that's going to be a final. It's going to be a final draw with a scoreless draw there. Same thing with Beaver Local. They draw with Steubenville 2-2. Boardman draws with Dover 2-2. Your final score. Austintown Fitch, they end that draw streak we had. They beat Morin JFK 8-3. A big win for the Falcons. That's a very good JFK team that does not allow 8 goals too often. Pymatuning Valley and Bristol was postponed due to weather. Harvey and Orange. Harvey gets the win 2-0. We go Perry and Conneaut. Perry with the win 4-1. And then Edgewood and Lakeside. This game was a Lakeside win. It got called early too because of lightning up there in Ashtabula County, but Lakeside was ahead, so they got the win. On the girls' soccer side, it was the same thing. Lightning stopped it early. It's in a draw 1-1 between Edgewood and Lakeside. Harvey, they fall to Garrettsville Garfield 2-0. We're on girls' soccer now. Um, Beaver Local beats Oak Glen 3-0. We have Pymatuning Valley. They were able to be postponed against Bristol with no game getting played there with due to weather. Um, 1-1 tie between Perry and Conneaut. And then last but not least, Wycliffe beats Orange 3-0 in girls soccer. So, Scotty, as we went over that scoreboard, I know it's a lot to digest. Did anything stick out to you in volleyball or soccer that you heard and you were like, wow, that's a good score, or this team's really playing well? What stood out to you on the scoreboard today?
Uh, yeah. So I would say the Canfield and Poland battle, and Canfield getting that 2-0 victory. Just because you gotta love rivalry games. It's what makes sports so great, and I know like the those games, it's hard. You want to be able to get up for every single game, but in games like that there's always a little extra juice. So Canfield got to be feeling really good, and at the same time not too demoralizing for Poland. um, Losing by two. I just think, especially with a lot of the season, and in certain games you'll have, you know, some things you plan to do and it just doesn't work. And it doesn't mean that it's not effective. So I think if Poland, they just don't get too discouraged, they'll be just fine. But that was one of the games that immediately popped out, because I've heard quite a lot about the Canfield and Poland, that animosity there.
The one of the great things about that rivalry, Scotty, is of course that everyone wants to win it. It's really important, but it's also not a league game. So for Poland and Canfield, whoever was going to lose that game, it ended up being Poland 2-0. They can, like, yeah, it hurts. You want to win every game, but it's like everything in the league is still right in front of you. Winning the league is still right in front of you. So it has minimal effects on your goals as a team. To go out, first goal is always to win the conference. So it doesn't really affect you there. It's really a tune up. Um, at the end of the day, it is just a tune up. It just means a little bit more because it's a rivalry. So, yes, it hurts. You always want to beat Canfield if you're Poland. But I like what you're saying. Like, yeah, you can't let it define your season at all because, one, it's not a league game, so it has no effect on your goals as a team to try to win a conference. And then the other standpoint is, um, it's still really early in the season, so you still have a lot of room to get better and play better and maybe get another win, another big win against a quality team down the line because Poland has a schedule with a lot of quality teams on it.
Do you think, like, for you, when it comes to the rivalries and when you talked about turning the page and it not being a lead game, so obviously that helps. But do you think just naturally when you lose against a rival, maybe the recovery time, like the stings, last a little bit longer than just the loss? That's just kind of any other game,
I
or do
mean,
you?
it can for sure. It just I think it depends really greatly on the team and how serious I guess that every team takes rivalries in a different way, right? So some teams are going to be like, we circled Canfield, right? And I'm just using Canfield Poland as an example because we're talking about that soccer game. So some teams are going to be like, we circled Canfield 500 times before the season. We want to beat Canfield bad. Maybe Canfield beat them last year. Maybe there's a revenge factor. And when that doesn't happen, it's a real big deflation. Like, but one of the things that I think mentally strong teams have to do is you give yourself an a lot amount of time to feel that. You feel the disappointment, you feel the letdown, and then you have to get back to it because there's a lot of soccer, whatever, volleyball, football, whatever we're talking. There's a lot left to play, and if you let one loss become two, become three, because you're deflated after the one loss, even if it's a rivalry game. That can really snowball your season. We've seen it happen. Like we've seen seasons get snowballed because of a difficult loss. These are kids; they handle things in different ways. So we've definitely seen it happen. It can be very possible, Scotty. But if they're well coached and they're mentally tough and they handle things the right way, it shouldn't. But we know it does. It's the nature of sports.
Yeah, it's and like you said, I think it makes it even. It could possibly make it even tougher when you're a student athlete, and more specifically in high school, because you know something could just go wrong that day, and it could totally. Not that things don't go wrong for adults, but I just feel like in high school everything is kind of magnified a little
Yeah,
bit.
I will take your magnified and I will say heightened. I think everything's kind of heightened with the stage of your life you're in, and you're kind of going through these things for like the first time ever. Adults, they go through those things and they've been through it in high school. They've been through, so they're going through those things, for maybe the fourth or fifth time in life. When you're high school and something happens, like 9 times out of 10, it's like the first time you've experienced that. So I think everything's just heightened a little bit when you're in high school. The wounds or whatever, the trauma, whatever you're going through, it's a little bit wider, it's a little bit more raw when you're a teenager. But um, one of the toughest things, obviously, is when your biggest rival is also in your conference, because then not only did you lose your biggest rival, not only do you lose the bragging rights, but you also lost a conference game and you lose a spot in the standings. That's what's really tough.
Yeah, so um,
So, like your Jackson Milton and Western Reserve, they play for a trophy. In basketball, like their that rivalry is real, right? So when they lose to each other, it's not just a loss to your rival; it's a conference loss.
yeah, so it's injury to insult or
Right.
insult to injury there for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of these rivals, are in the same conference, and that makes it even better or worse, depending on what way of the coin you fall on.
That's you know what I think would helps though, if you start the day with some kickstart Mountain Dew.
Oh
You
yes,
give them that edge, right?
yes. Kickstart today. Today's just one of those mornings, Scotty. Like, don't know why. I got the same amount of sleep I always do, but the brain's just not working at the full function. I'm doing stuff and then forgot that I do it, or I literally writing a story today and I wrote the same sentence like three times. I was like, wait a minute. So my brain, and I was like, you know what? I don't drink this too often. I save it because I don't want to get like a caffeine, super high. But today felt like a day where you needed it. You need a little bit of a boost,
You needed that little bit extra.
A little bit extra boost right there.
Yeah.
Pineapple mango is the goat of Kickstart. I will die on that hill, by the way. If you're a fan of Kickstart, it's actually not exactly the easiest energy drink to find. I like Kickstart. I support my Mountain Dew, right? You gotta be on
Yeah.
brand, right?
Yeah.
You can't be a big Mountain Dew guy and then drink Monster. It doesn't work like
Yeah,
that.
and not Kickstart.
You
Yeah.
gotta rep the brand. Mountain Dew. I'm open for sponsorships. Come on, sponsor YSN. Sponsor Running Point.
Gotta rep
You're,
it.
you're on the show every day. You're getting free advertisement. Come on,
Yeah, you could
we'll
do
take care of you.
you could do being a commercial with Aubrey Plaza from
Yeah, come on.
Second. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
I no. Now that you said that, I'm gonna have to see if someone could acquire some for me. Pineapple.
oh man, you got the butt. Now you're like, man, I want it. 20 in the sandbox. I have to have it. Oh man, Scotty, we're gonna take a break, man, and when we come back, we're gonna ask the most dangerous question in all of online sports streaming. What's on your mind? And might get a little dangerous today. Who knows? We'll be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig with you. Scotty Minter is my sidecar on this wonderful ride that we call life on Wednesdays on Running Point. Scotty, like I said before the break, man, it's time for the most dangerous question in all of online sports streaming. What is on Scotty's mind?
Time to get dangerous.
Yeah, that's like Darkwing Duck, buddy. Let's get dangerous. All right, Scotty, what are you thinking about today?
So today, I was thinking about a little bit about week 1 and week number 2 of going in the week number 2 of the high school football season. And I guess more specifically, I really have my eye on. I'm really intrigued by the Struthers and Cheney matchup this week, this season. But I guess from you, Anthony, I just wanted to know some of your big takeaways, your thoughts on week number 1, and are there any games that you really have your eye on right now more than others? Obviously, we're going to get into it more Thursday and Friday, but what are your thoughts on the week that passed and as we head into week 2 now?
Well, one of the big shout-outs I have to give first and foremost, East Palestine football. We've seen a lot of shares and hype on social media. They're excited. They get their first week 1 win since 2016, and they looked good, man. It wasn't a squeak win. It wasn't a one that you go, oh, man, that's a fluke. I can't believe they won it in that way. It was a dominant East Palestine consistent win from whistle to whistle. They led. They never really trailed in the game. They never even looked like they were having trouble in the game. First time that I think, from YSN's standpoint, that we've seen East Palestine play a game of football like that, where it was just domination from start to finish and winning in a handed fashion. So that was really cool. And they play Wyndham on Friday, and I think, like, sneakily, this is a under the radar, really good game. Wyndham looked really good in week 1. East Palestine looked really good in week 1. Now they're playing each other. These are two teams that really struggled last year for different reasons. East Palestine trying to build a program, and Wyndham just had a lot of injuries the last 2 years. Wyndham's healthy. East Palestine looks like they have a new leaf, and they have a new kind of confidence in themselves. I like this week 1 matchup to be a really good one. I'm going to keep my eye on it. You know, a lot of people might see East Palestine Wyndham and go, oh, turn your nose up at it a little bit, but not here. Not me. I think this is going to be a really good football matchup.
Do you think it's harder? It's got to be harder, right? When you're trying to build a program and you're starting from like scratch, rather than, like, say, if you just have injuries and key guys go down, it's got to be easier to wipe the slate clean when you do have those injuries, right? As opposed to if you're part of a program that has struggled, right, Anthony?
Right.
Also, I was thinking about this too, and I think once you get that first win, for teams that are, kind of established or, on their way up and coming, I don't think, maybe not, it's as big a deal. But for a team like East Palestine, and when you don't have a win, a first week win since going back to 2016, I think the win is worth a little more. I know there's the cliches, like, one game at a time, and it's only one game in the standings, but I kind of feel like because they got that win and it was really monumental in the way that they did it and dominated, it kind of feels like more than just one win for EP. Do you think I'm off in that, Anthony? Or
Yeah, it does feel like I can tell. I mean, we see, me and DJ and other people that have access to our social media, we see how the players and the community interacts with our posts, and when we put out that East Palestine story, it got a bunch of shares, bunch of mentions on Instagram. People in East Palestine are really excited right now. And I get it. It's week 1. You don't want to like everyone says, don't overreact. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, Scotty, I don't know how you feel, but like, sports is kind of built to overreact. Like, you should be a kind of an overreaction in sports. That's what sports is about. It's about a team going and getting a big win and feeling really good about it because they should, right? College football, I'm not going to try to be too much of a homer because I try to do, but Georgia Tech beat number 10 Florida State to open the season over the weekend, week 0.
I immediately
Georgia Tech's one of the only 1-0 teams in the country, right? So like, get them ranked, put them in the rankings. Why not overreact? They beat number 10. If they don't live up to those rankings later down the week, then you say, okay, you're back down. But like, people that say, well, don't overreact, it's just one win. Like, maybe internally and for the teams, maybe then you don't overreact like in the locker room and you got to take it one game at a time. But fans and community members and parents and all that fun stuff, they should be way overreacting, right? They should be on cloud nine. East Palestine got a week 1 win. They looked dominant. They looked good. They should absolutely be overreacting. Now, internally, yes, I talked about this on Monday. Okay, East Palestine, I think last year they made a lot of games close. They kind of learned how to not lose and not make those game-losing plays. Now they know how to win, obviously, because they won the first game of the year and they did it in dominating fashion. Now you have to learn how to win consistency. That's the last lesson in the program. How do you handle the week after a win? Do you still work just as hard to go into week 2? Do you get any complacency? I don't think they will. I love Coach Dempster. I think he's doing a great job with this program. But now you have to see, like, how does East Palestine handle the win? Because we know how they handle losses. How do they handle a win? How do they come off a win and work just as hard to get the next win? Can they win consistently? I think they can. I think it's a big test going to Wyndham. The Bombers are looking just as good. They looked very confident. Jack I had a opening play kickoff return for a touchdown. I mean, you can't start the game any better than that, right? So he's living on a high, and their running back had like 4 touchdowns on the day, ran for over 100 yards. So they're a good team, and I think at this point, if East Palestine wins this one, you start to open a lot of eyes. You're like, oh, maybe overreacting wasn't a bad thing after that week 1 win. Not to mention, guys, East Palestine fans out there, Owen Iriauchi is up for Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley. So overreact like crazy with the votes. We want to see votes. We've seen all the social media shares. Everyone's excited about the football win. Get out there and vote for your player, man. ysnlive.com/big dogs.
I wanted to ask you too, before I do get your thoughts on you kind of gave a little bit of a preview of Wyndham and EP, and before I get your thoughts on the Struthers Cheney matchup, I wanted to ask you from Wyndham's perspective, like, do you think, as coaches and, when they talk about this game and what they're trying to do you think it's, for them, it's just as simple, like, we got some of our horses back now, so, do what we planned on doing the beginning of, like, last season? Or do you think because they got their talent back, or do you think because, every year is different, like, maybe, it's not as simple as just plugging injured guys in and then, yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not like we're the exact same roster, everyone in the exact same spot. So we can just say healthy, and then we're going to have the exact same game plan. What I think it does is it kind of clears the slate. I think you had a lot of people experience that really wouldn't normally get it last year that are going to be coming off of that, and you can depend on them more. So I feel like, you have a little bit more than maybe you expected to have when you have an injury. It sucks going through it, but then when you come back the next year, guys that you expected when you're thinking about that year, well, I'm sure when Coach I was thinking about this year of football, he expected some guys to be a lot less experienced than they are. Like, if he was thinking about it, at the start of last season, right? If he was thinking about next year, which I doubt he even gave 2024 a thought at the start of the 23 season. But if he was, he'd probably think to himself that he was going to have a lot less experience, or if these guys that he had brought back were going to be a lot less experienced. But because of all the injuries, because he had to put guys in new spaces, Now, not only do you get those injured kids back and healthy, you have an experienced roster that's been there and done that and gone through it. So you have your talent back, which will even up the odds on the field, and you have a slew of very ahead of schedule kids that have more experience than you probably thought they would coming into this year. That's why the skies are looking pretty clear for Wyndham. There are some other games too, Scotty, that I think are kind of intriguing, maybe a little bit under the radar, and once again because maybe a little bit of overreaction, but I like a little overreaction in sports. I think Howland is a team that deserves a little bit of overreaction. They got the week 1 victory. They've been struggling as a program for a while. They look dominant, 28-0 over Niles. That's a team that has been Howland's kind of big brother for a long time. So that has to feel good for the Tigers. They got Poland, right? Poland looked really good, 28-10 over Salem. What team are we going to learn more about? Is Poland like legit? Are they going to be able to be one of those teams that, wins 8 or 9 games? Or is Howland back, right? Are they, everyone in the sports today likes to use we're back, right? For all these teams that maybe have been struggling for a little bit but have really good history, we're back. Is Howland back? Can we learn that this week? Well, like if they go and they beat Poland, are they back? I'm excited for that one. I'm also excited for Columbia and McDonald. And those are two just hard-nosed football programs that work hard, physical with you. They're going to grind you out in the game. So I'm really excited for that game too. So those are 3 games that I think are probably under the radar a little bit that people need to be excited about and keep their eyes on.
What are your thoughts? They were both impressive in week 1, and I'm talking Struthers and Cheney. So what are your thoughts on that game there?
I want to see. I mean, like when I talked to you about that Cheney game, when you look at it, and I talked about it on Monday's show too, there was a lot of size on that team, right? They look big. When we watched them versus Akron East, me and Mike looked at each other and we're like, are we watching a college football game? Because this line on both sides for Akron East and Cheney, they're just a lot of big kids, a lot of like 6'2s, probably 250s pounds going out on the line. So now it's like, okay, Struthers, that's one of their big hurdles this week. Can they handle the size and athleticism in the same nucleus for Cheney? Because they're not just big, they're quick, and that can give a lot of people nightmares. But Struthers looked as perfect as you could look as a football team. I mean, they didn't have any flaws in that game. I'm sure Coach Bayek found some things they did wrong, but as a general watcher of someone that could just casually watch that game, nothing glaring that they were like, oh my gosh, you have to fix that. You better fix that before week 2. They looked really just pristine and locked down. So I think you're right, Scotty. I think that's going to be a really fun game to watch as well, Cheney and Struthers.
Do you? Let me ask you this: do you think that because it's been their bread and butter for a while, even going back to last season, do you think that obviously Struthers, they're known for the ground attack and the good rushers that they do have, but do you think that Cheney, because they have those big boys and that athleticism, do you think they just kind of play like without trying to, maybe stack the box right out the gate? Maybe they don't commit as many guys to the run because they have that athleticism, or do you think it's a thing where they're going to try to, take away that run game right out the gate by the most aggressive strategy possible?
I think run defense 1-on-1, you always try to see if you can stop them without sacrificing safeties. So you'll see if you can do with 6 guys in the box, your 4 linemen, maybe 2 linebackers. If you can fill the gaps, if you can push the line, and you can do that without sacrificing your safeties down there, you're going to do it, because once you bring your safeties up, that opens you up to attacks down the field. So with Cheney's size, they're going to be confident in that size and athleticism. I don't see them putting more in the box to start. Now, if Struthers starts to really succeed, then you're going to start to see Cheney creeping up a little bit, and that's when Struthers can really take advantage downfield. But I think to open the game, Cheney's going to have a lot of confidence in their size on the line and try to do what they have to do to stop the run with just what they have up front.
Yeah, I think those are really interesting points you made, and you always bring good insight to the table, Anthony. That's why I like asking you the questions. But you also brought up the Columbiana McDonald game, and last week we talked quite a bit. We were on. You were asking me how the scoreboard update was going, and I was on, of course, because of my Rockets. You were making, we were going back and forth about Lowville, making jokes, kidding around. But Columbiana did fight back in that game after Lowville had they had what you could call a commanding lead, but Columbiana did fight back and ended up putting a lot of points on the board. They put 38 on the board for the Rockets. So I guess what I'm asking, Anthony, is if you're Columbiana going into this week against McDonald, are you more encouraged by the second part of that game and how you fought back, or are you more concerned with the hole they got into against Lowville now going into this week 2 matchup against McDonald?
I think Coach Spate is very concerned that he gave up 51 points. It is very uncharacteristic of a Coach Spate defense. I know you're very fond of the coach, Scotty, and you know better than most that he hangs his hat on defense. You've talked to him before. You've interviewed him. You know that Coach Spate loves the defensive side of the ball. So they're going to be working hard in practice because this McDonald team has a good offense. I think Columbiana is happy that they don't have someone named Gino Perry because, boy, did that kid just rip up Columbiana's defense to shreds. So they're happy that Gino Perry's not on McDonald. But you look at this game, I mean, McDonald's defense played really well against Champion. Only gave up 9 points. So you have a defense that played well, an offense that played well going up against each other. That's interesting too. Like who's gonna stand their ground?
Yeah, for sure. That's gonna be interesting to see kind of who you said who stands their ground or who necessarily blinks first in that one. I also for 2 years now there's been so much talk on Louisville having to replace guys, and they lost so much, but putting up that 51 burger like they did in week number 1, now they face Toronto, and I'm assuming that's Toronto, Ohio. Do you think kind of Louisville's hit that point with this week 1 victory in scoring like they did, going up and down the field against Columbiana? Do you think they maybe hit a point where they're just that they are what they are, and that is they're a really good program? Like no matter who's in there, they could just kind of plug them in. Do you think they've reached that point where you just can't count Louisville out anymore?
I believe in Louisville. Like I think that they've established a program. They've established kids that want to work hard and keep the success up. I think last year you can kind of see that, and you could, but last year they still had a core of players that were part of that really special team. This year, what they're doing, it's like, man, okay, they've built a program. I am Coach Mam You have done a wonderful job. I think there are no questions about this program anymore. They're going to be good for a while. I think a lot of people, when Vinny Balone graduated, Scotty, a lot of people were like, okay, Louisville's window is closed, right? That's done. Vinny was special, and he was special. And now that a lot of people were like, hey, you know what? You don't have it anymore. And this program has put their foot in the ground and proved everybody wrong. Everyone that said that, at least. I know we didn't say it, but a lot of other people probably said it. They proved people wrong. They said, you know what? We've built a strong program. We have great kids coming up, and our success has trickled down to the youth. And now we're starting to see that coming to fruition. Louisville is legitimate. They're going to be here for a while.
That makes me smile to hear you say that. And I think after this last game, because I thought they had, I knew they were going to have a decent chance to win. What I did not expect at all was 51 points put up in week 1. So that was definitely just an like they didn't leave anything in the bag. It seemed like I know I was constantly refreshing, updating that score. So,
Scotty, I want to say while you're on here to the masses, and I said this on Monday too, on the show without you on, you did a fantastic job on the scoreboard on Friday. That was your first night doing it. You were almost, Mike Schweinhart was on it too, but you did a lot of it on your own. He was telling me like, hey, I didn't get to a lot of updates. Scotty was pretty much doing all that, solo. You killed it, buddy. Like, I was so impressed with your ability to just keep an eye on everything, keep everything locked down. And our scoreboard ran so smooth all through the night. So you did a fantastic job. Can't wait for you to keep doing it. Come back on Friday. We'll keep you on the scoreboard. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that you did a really good job on that scoreboard on Friday.
Thanks, Anthony. That means a lot. And I always, in everything I do, and especially after a year absence, not getting to be a part of it last year because of some, just unfortunate happenings with staffing and stuff. I was chomping at the bit Friday to get to work and just be a part of some.
You know where that phrase comes from, right, Scotty?
I do not know.
Chomping at the bit. So, like, you know what a bit is, right? Like the thing they put in the horse's mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're chomping at the bit, it's a horse racing term that we've kind of we've put into everyday conversation, but. You just called yourself a horse, basically.
I think there's somebody else that's...
You're chopping at the bit like a horse, buddy.
Yeah.
You're the fastest horse we all know, buddy.
I was going to get really, really dark now.
Don't get dark. We don't want to get dark.
Scotty, I'm going to keep it positive.
Don't get dark, Scotty. Don't get dark. Scotty, before we go to the scoreboard to see what's on the docket tonight, our good old buddy Radar, he wants to stir the pot a little bit.
All right, what is Radar?
He wants to stir the pot. He wants to cause some stuff. He wants us to put a friendly bet on the AL Central. Now, Scotty, we are not degenerates. We will not be putting money bets on the AL Central. But what would you say to a non-money friendly wager on who wins the AL Central? Let's say like loser wears the winner team's hat on the show all day at the end of the season on a show.
That would be a good. That would be
that. Like if the Royals win the division, you wear a Royals hat on a show, and then if the Guardians win the division, I'm sure you have tribe hats. I'll wear a tribe hat on the show the whole day for a Wednesday. And we'll do it that way.
For sure, yeah. That sounds. If the Twins
pull it off, then we're both off the hook.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, we're up 2-1 right now, buddy.
It's 2-1.
2-1, bottom of the second.
again. Oh, man, we can't lose all 4.
You could. You could.
We could.
You could. We have 2 home runs in the first inning. One from our leadoff hitter Michael Massey, and another one from Vinny Pasquantino. So I think Bo Naylor hit in a run for you guys. I didn't see if it was a home run.
You guys have been cranking them out. The long ball.
Bo Naylor hit a RBI fielder's choice, so that's how the runs have been scored so far. 2-1, Royals up in the bottom of the second. Scotty and I are both diehard fans of the opposite teams, so you're gonna have to give us some grace if the shows through September trickle into some MLB talk, because
well, and that
we're both excited right now because we're both pretty much. I mean, like barring a major collapse, which I know Cleveland fans are kind of pessimistic about. I don't know if you are, Scotty, but I think it's safe to say that both teams are comfortably in the playoffs. Like they're not locked in, they're not clinched yet, but like you look at the wild card right now, whoever doesn't win the division has a 6.5 game lead over the team that's out of the wild card. So it would take a epic collapse in the last month to keep whoever doesn't win the division out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and that is a good thing, although the more we lose, and getting, especially in a 4-gamer, if getting swept in a 4-gamer, that hurts because it's hard to beat a team. It's hard to beat the White Sox 4 times in a row.
And then what? You got the Dodgers this weekend,
right? I thought we had.
Oh, it's the Dodgers next. So this weekend you play the Pirates, and then you go back to Kansas City for another matchup with us, and then you go to the Dodgers.
Okay, I thought the Dodgers were a little ways off, but
that's a tough stretch, man.
That is.
I mean, Kansas City, then Pittsburgh, but then Kansas City, and then Dodgers.
Yeah, that's tough. Hardest remaining schedule in
but hey, like just to give Cleveland, I mean, the Royals have to go to Houston. That's not going to be easy. They're leading the AL West. The Royals have to play Cleveland again next week, and then the Royals got the Twins. So it's not exactly a smooth week for Kansas City either. Going to be very interesting. See how it all shakes out. And we're going to be, like we just said, we had a gentleman's handshake virtually, Scotty. All right. We got the gentleman's bet. No money. We're not degenerates. We're just going to say whoever wins the division, the other person has to wear that team's hat for the whole day on the show. If the Twins happen to win it, they're only 2.5 back, so it's a possibility we're both off the hook. So is that a deal?
Yeah, that's a deal.
All right. I'll get you some royal blue, buddy. Let's go. So now let's get into the scoreboard, though. Let's end the show the right way. Talk about what's on the docket tonight and tell you what games will be broadcasted and who will be out as far as the announcers to get you those broadcasts. The scoreboard is brought to you by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs and can be found at ysnlive.com/scores. And let's go into tomorrow. Well, I should say today. It's the current scoreboard's tomorrow because we're set on Tuesday right now. Today is yesterday's tomorrow, Scotty. Let that.
Yesterday's tomorrow.
Let that sink in. All right, so here's the volleyball matchups. We have Conneaut going to be playing host to Osborne Academy. Lakeside will play Cheney. This game got moved from yesterday to today. We have Mooney traveling the Western Reserve. That should be a pretty good one. The really good one is Crestview Girard. This is the one that I think volleyball fans in the area have circled about 5 times. Both teams looking really good. Both teams perennial powerhouses in the area, and now both teams in the same division in the tournament. So this could be a district preview or a regional preview, depending on how the brackets line up. Who knows? East Palestine going to play host to Heartland Christian. Lisbon travels to Malvern. McDonald goes to Sebring. We have Oakland going to Boardman. Boardman coming off that thrilling marathon of a win on Monday against South Range. We have JFK. They're hosting Lake Center Christian. We go to girls soccer tonight. We have Hoban. They're taking on Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. Louisville hosting North Canton Hoover. South Range playing host to Struthers and NE8 play. Marlington going to Canfield. We have Poland going to Hubbard and Howland going to Ursuline tonight as well. Let's talk about broadcasts and who will be on the network tonight and what broadcasters will have you covered for that. I will be in Girard. Crestview and Girard, the marquee volleyball matchup. I will be there calling that. We have Eric Hughes also on the call in Boardman. So they will be hosting Oak Glen. We have girls soccer being broadcast tonight from Louisville against North Canton Hoover. Rob Johnson will have the call there. So those will be the games on the network tonight. Also, a reminder that Ty Bartell will be down at Eastwood Field. The Scrappers are still playing. They're still in action, so he'll have the broadcast with Frederick Keys. They're coming to town for the Scrappers home game. Ty Bartell on the call. 7 o'clock is your start time for that. And also, the Canfield Sports Show and the Camel Sports Show will both be live. Canfield will be at Coco's Pizza. Camel will be at Tavern 26. DJ Oakley will be covering you for Canfield. Matt Marr has you covered for Camel. So make sure to get on down there. Watch both those shows live. Fun interviews with the coaches from the athletic programs, players from the athletic programs, and we'll see what they have in store. Camel's going to be a fun show. Coach King going to be talking about a big Week 1 victory, and then Coach Ignacio going to be talking about how Canfield can try to bounce back from that loss, I should say, over West Branch. So that's what your night looks like. Scotty Mincher, Anthony Hartwig, we thank you so much for tuning in today. Running Point always brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet. We will be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 on Running Point. Scotty will be back next week.